colors look like they're right out of North Korea. We don't get much.
We're happy with what we have.
That's right. Hello and welcome to Basic AF, a fresh new episode. Tom Anderson and Jeff Battersby together once again. Hello, Jeff.
Good morning, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Good. I'm doing great. As I said before, although nobody will hear it, I'm not buying anything, so I'm doing really well.
I did, and we will talk about that a bit later, but not a whole lot. Just bought one thing, which is good for me.
One thing.
Yes.
One thing.
So this is episode
One more
44. Yeah, well done. So we are on episode 44, and for this show, we have a guest. We are pleased to welcome Joe Moyer to the show. Hi, Joe.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Joe, thanks for coming along, man.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And we have been trying to get you on for a little minute, but you're a busy man outside of, this podcasting business. So, but what we want to start with and what we had intended to do until Apple threw a wrench in our works, was to talk a little bit about you and what it is you do. You are known on I don't know what platforms you're on. Why don't we just let you tell us who you are and what you do and where you are and all the platforms you are and what you're doing, and then we'll jump off.
Okay, great. So I write a lot about journaling, so you're going to predominantly find me on Threads. I was a day one user on Threads. So I started really thinking about journaling a couple years ago. My second child was born, and I had a little free time because I took some parental leave. And then I ended up staying home to be a stay-at-home dad, taking a little break. So, there's a lot of joy in that, but there's also a lot of challenges. I had been working for a long time, had a lot of connections and relationships, and I found that kind of revisiting my journaling practice was super helpful in working through all the great and more challenging things that come with being a dad. So I decided to start writing about it online because it occurred to me that I don't think I've met anyone who wouldn't benefit from some sort of journaling practice, because it's really just taking time to reflect. When Threads launched, I jumped on as the journaling guide and post a fair amount about Apple there too, because I can't out myself, but try to share some prompts and some ideas around how easy it is to journal. It really doesn't take that much time or that much effort. You don't have to have a fancy notebook. You don't have to light a candle. You can take 5 minutes, grab a piece of printer paper and do your thing. You can also light the candle if you want.
I was going to say, I've already invested in a lot of candles, man. I don't know.
It's all about I think it's all about the message and not the medium. But so maybe you start off with the printer paper and you graduate to the fancy journal and the candles and the cup of tea.
Oh.
I've been blogging for a couple of years. I was a blogger in the beginning of the 2000s. In fact, the local newspaper ran a story on me because they couldn't find anyone else to talk about it, because there just weren't very many of us. That's called 24 Letters, and I write over there about journaling, productivity, and personal development. So I'm thrilled to be with you guys.
Awesome. Well, we're thrilled to have you. And we are going to do, as long as you're willing and interested to come back, we're going to do a whole episode on journaling, because we do have questions, and we definitely have some interest in that. And that was the original intent, to bring you on to talk about what it is that you do and what it is that you're trying to encourage others to do. But Apple had an event on Monday or Tuesday, Monday. I don't know what day. Monday. So we asked if you'd be willing to come on and talk about all of that. So that's where we are headed today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here for that. Got plenty of notes.
Talk about Apple event, and it will tease another thing that may be coming up with Joe, is we may be talking about Apple TV Plus content going forward as well. So that'll be a good thing, something to look forward to. But Tom,
yes,
I probably popped really hard when I said "but" right there. Let's talk a little bit about Apple's event the other day. on Monday.
You're just going with the other day now, huh?
Yeah, well, I'm lost in time, right? I have no idea where I am or what I'm doing, which is kind of true. So let's talk about Monday's event and some of the announcements. And
let's do it.
Why don't you kick it off?
All right. So the Glowtime event was on Monday, September 9th, which was a week ago as this episode you're listening to is released. And it's Apple's annual iPhone event in September. Was
Correct.
it a September to remember, though, is the question.
Fair question. That is a fair question.
It is. So before we get too deep into it, I know we've all watched it. Impressions overall, Joe, what you think?
They released an iPhone. It's pretty cool. They released some headphones, which are great. But I really can't help but think that Apple is becoming way more focused on services, which is something we all hear them talking about a lot. I think this quarter, maybe their services almost made as much as their hardware did. So I think the story they're trying to kind of push is the hardware is great. It gets a little better every year, but they're looking at accessibility, health and safety with some of the new features, which I think are kind of exciting, actually, and it's a good way to define themselves in the market. But overall, it was a pretty low-key event, I thought. It was, nothing revolutionary, just a bunch of new updates, iterative year-over-year stuff.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think the thing is, pretty much everything at this point that is part of this event in particular is pretty mature, right?
Yes.
I mean, Apple Watch is up to Series 10, iPhone 16, AirPods have been around for quite a while. Mm-hmm. And so I just don't think we're going to see those groundbreaking hardware developments that we used to see, in the early editions of these things. And I think Apple, of course, they know that. But I think if you look at it with these incremental updates, if somebody's on, say, the iPhone 10 still, and they're upgrading to an iPhone 16 or 16 Pro, pretty significant jump. But for the enthusiasts who tend to upgrade more frequently, I think they're smaller leaps. Jeff, what do you think?
Same feelings. And here's the thing: I'm never disappointed by that. Apple has a solid hardware platform. I think our desire to have some amazing new innovation is sometimes misses the point of what's really going on underneath the hood. Those Pro models, I think, for the first time, are truly models for professionals. When you look at the video that they did with the Weekend, and what was filmed entirely on an iPhone, the whole event technically filmed on an iPhone. The audio capabilities that are now built into the Pro models, really amazing. Whether or not they're something that I need is a fair question. We'll talk about that going as we kind of dig in a little further in this episode. But I'm not. I could be a regular iPhone person coming up in the next version. One thing I will say that was impressive to me is, for the most part, Sansa camera lens on the 16. There's a lot of parity that they're putting into those basic models. Everybody has the fancy new button, which we'll talk about more, which I really like. That's kind of as an amateur photographer, someone who takes a lot of photographs with my phone. Those are really nice features. The fact that it can be tied to apps like Halide, and it's not merely Apple's built-in camera is good stuff. So, I was not in the market for anything. I knew that going into this thing at this event, and I'm okay with it. And I really kind of like what's going on hardware-wise, even though the look, the feel, the size, all that stuff hasn't changed all that much.
Right. Okay. So let's go through the announcements,
sure.
Shall we? We'll go through them in order. Let's start with AirPods. AirPods 4. We've got
Correct.
two versions of those. With and without active noise cancellation, listening modes were added. And I think some of the gestures
All there.
Yeah, we're there too. And what, 129, 149, I think, are the price
I think
for
that
those?
is correct. I could double check that as we're sitting here, but I believe that is
it's somewhere in that
It
ballpark.
might be
Thought I saw
129,
this morning,
179.
but it was-
But let me
Yeah, it
just,
could be.
179.
yeah,
Is
I think it is
Okay.
too. But yeah, and the thing about that is, I mean, whether or not they needed two levels in the AirPods 4, I don't know.
Right.
That's definitely a fair question. The active noise cancellation features are brilliant, and they need those. That they all support the new gestures is great. You know, that's a nice add to something that was already really pretty good. So yeah, I like both of those options on the AirPods 4. Joe, how about you? Any thoughts?
I was curious why they had the two different versions. Maybe it's just so they can really have a kind of an entry level AirPod, model for people who just want to have the simple features. I think active noise cancellation coming to them is great. My basic AirPods are like 5 years old, so these were actually pretty interesting to me. But yeah, I think it's a reasonable update and was kind of overdue.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep. And we also have some software updates for AirPods Pro 2.
Yeah.
And this is interesting. So this goes back to what we were saying there a few minutes ago. I think Joe mentioned it. Jeff, you may have too, with some of the software features around health and safety and things like that. So they've added, I think it's coming, it's not out yet, but there will be a hearing test function that they've added to the AirPods through software. And they quoted some numbers there with the number of people who actually do have some type of hearing loss, and it's not an insignificant number of people. A lot of us went to a lot of rock shows back in the day without proper ear protection, so I wouldn't be surprised if I'm on that list. So that looked interesting, and then they pre-announced the hearing aids feature and said that was pending approval or authorization from the FDA, and that just happened yesterday, I think it was, or the day before. So they're all clear for that. That is very interesting to me.
It's huge. So let's just put this into a little bit of context, and just as a shout out to Adam Jones, who was on the show a couple weeks back. I was on his immediately following the event. I was on his video on his YouTube channel, and we were talking about this. And they had not gotten approval at the point in time that we recorded, but hearing aids are bloody expensive. And up until a couple of years ago, hearing aids were a thing that you needed a prescription from a doctor. You needed to be able to, go to the doctor, do some audiology testing, which you should be doing anyway. And then you had to get approval, and then you paid big money to be able to get a hearing aid. This is amazing in terms of how accessible it will make this. Of course, I guess you have to have an iPhone. So that goes along with this. That kind of increases the expense a little bit. But the fact if you already have an iPhone, the fact that you can, plug in some AirPods Pro 2 into your ears and have the ability to bring up audio in the room or people that are talking to you, that's big stuff. And one of the things I said to Adam on his show was, there are a lot of issues that come along with hearing loss. Depression is one of them, because you're not in the conversation. You can't hear anything. You don't know what's going on. There's some indications and some studies that are stating that some issues related to dementia are involved with hearing loss. So this is a huge thing that if you already have an iPhone, is going to make it very easy for you to upgrade your hearing capabilities without having to fork out, thousands of dollars for hearing aids. So big stuff as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think the number was 1.5 billion people have hearing loss. I mean, it's a massive market, but it's also, I was talking to a friend who has had hearing aids for a long time, and he echoed exactly what you said, Jeff. They're expensive. There's a little bit of a stigma. You're just mumbling. I don't have hearing problems. So I think that this is a really cool feature. Like it's not something I would have expected, but I think it's a really great feature.
Truly. And let me bring up something else as well. I don't know if are either of you doing any of the research that you can do, medical research that you can do in the health app on your phones?
Yeah, I've done some of that.
So one of the features that I have had for a long time. In my youth, I was a carpenter, and even worse than concerts, going to concerts with unprotected ears. We used to saw a lot of wood with unprotected ears. So I have had tinnitus probably for 10 to 15 years, somewhere in there where it started showing up. And so I've been doing the hearing testing that was already built into that research app. The fact that this is now something that'll be part of, I presume, the next update, not the current, the version, or maybe it will be in the version that drops when this recording drops, the version of iOS. But it's amazing to be able to have that and to get some feedback. When you're doing research, all it says is, thanks for researching with us, and, collects that information. So to get some feedback as to the level of hearing loss, and presumably they're going to say, listen, you need to go see your audiologist or do something of that nature. But these are some powerful tools in your hand. And when you say, Joe, no stigma, nobody's going to say anything to you if you have AirPods in your ears. You're not
right in.
Right. You look like half the people.
Other than, are you listening to what I'm saying?
What?
Which I did see people in the comments, which you're not supposed to read the comments, but I did, that have hearing aids, and they were interested in just like the concept and trying it, but they were like, because hearing aids have come a long way to being very discreet.
Yes.
And they were concerned that if I have the AirPods in, will people think I'm ignoring them, for one, and then two, the battery life for those, if they're actively on, which they would have to be to do this, how long would that last? But again, I think it's a win. I think we'll just have to see how well it works for some people who actually try it. My dad's got some pretty significant hearing issues, and I'm tempted to see if he wants to try that out. And again, there's the other side of that is, I'm curious to see how Apple handles some of the tuning for those, because they're different types of hearing loss with different frequencies and things like that. And,
yes.
And that's what you get with the specialist, right? They really kind of dial it in for exactly what you need. Sure, they probably are doing some of that with software, but be curious to see what people say when those are actually available.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And Tom, we all know that if you do have earbuds in, you are not listening to us. So
naturally.
Yeah.
Did you say something? The AirPods Max got the minimum. Got a USB-C port and some new colors, and that's
and you can buy some replacement cups if you want to.
Hey, accessorize. Name of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah.
Jeff,
so USB-C, woohoo, great stuff.
You want to kick off the watch?
Yeah. So Apple releases Apple Watch Series 10. Amazing that we're that far along in this game, that we've now have that many of them. So bigger screen, thinnest ever. Is what they're saying. I've yet to put my fingers on one of these. Wide angle OLED display, which supposedly is brighter and gives you better angle, the ability to view that a little better. So that's kind of interesting. Love this sleep apnea detection, which also available in the Ultra Watch 2, the Apple Ultra 2. I'm hoping it shows up on my Ultra, but I suspect that it will not. So
I think we're out of luck.
Won't. But that sleep apnea detection. So Apple, if you're not aware, and Tom's the one who made me aware of this, if you wear a watch to bed, it does an amazing job of tracking your sleep, your REM, what your breathing is, all these things that are going on. But sleep apnea is actually a potential health danger issue if you've got sleep apnea. So if it is able to pick up the fact that you have sleep apnea, then obviously you want to go to a specialist and get something on that. But that's really good. Translate app built into the watch now, phenomenal. The Translate app has been on your phone for a minute, and and you've got the ability to have someone speak to you in whatever language it is that they speak and have it translate that directly back. That now is going to be available on the watch. Smart Stacks, which I've been using, faster screen refresh every second, which is crazy. And this is new. And in the notes, Tom is being a smarty pants.
That wasn't me.
That was me.
Was that you?
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, okay. See, I don't see who's updating this.
Joe fits right in.
Yeah, he does. He's right in with the crew.
Yeah.
So you can play podcasts or music right from the speaker on your watch, which is great. And Joe is quick to point out, which is great for driving the people around you crazy. True.
It's a feature. We got to talk about it. It's a feature.
It is a feature, right?
To
some people, it's a bug.
Times I've wanted to do that. Like, not many, but there've been a couple where I was like, can I just real quick? I need to hear something. And so
it totally makes sense that it will work, and hopefully it will sound pretty decent, so we can do that and also drive people around us crazy as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm good at doing that anyway, so that's I could do that without any noises coming out of my watch. So very very nice stuff. Either of you in the market for this particular device?
Joe?
So I have a Series 8. I would love an upgrade, but I think I'm going to hold off for a little while longer. It's interesting that it's actually bigger than the Ultra, but I'm probably going to hold off at least for a few months. Maybe around the holidays I can put it on my list.
Yep.
How about you guys?
Just a smidge bigger than the Ultra. And it's interesting, they were showing some of the comparisons between the Series 10 and the Series 9, and it looks like the bezel on the 10 is slightly bigger than on the 9, but overall, because of the way they stretched it out or whatever they call it, it's still bigger. But I still got the Ultra 1, or have the Ultra 1, and I'm going to stick with that. I checked the battery health on it, and it's still like at 89%, so I should easily be good for another year, and see what comes up with the Ultra 3. Ultra 2, which I segue right into that. They did not do an Ultra 3 this year. They stayed with the Ultra 2, but came out with a new satin black color.
And baby, does that look good.
Yes, it does. Yeah, that was problematic when I saw that. I had to just put the wallet away. So I didn't pre-order yet.
Yeah, man, that
the reality distortion
so
field was real.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think, how many pictures did you and I send back and forth, Jeff? Especially that one with the tan band.
Yes.
I was like, ooh, baby, that looks good.
Tan band, dark mode. When it's got the orange, the night vision view, and it's like, okay, take my money.
Yeah. So
but nobody's going to take my money.
Because you're not going to give it to them. But they would take it if you'd get it.
Yeah, of course they would.
I'd take it.
Yeah, they're rating. You can do it right now if you want, Jeff. We'll wait.
Well, here's the no, thank you. And everybody knows I'm holding out for some kind of ring or something a little less watchy. Don't know that I'll ever get that, but I'm still not 100% on the watch bandwagon. I like it for what I use it for, which is, as I've said a million times, a million places, hiking, making sure that I'm getting the exercise that I need to, and love it for Apple Fitness Plus. Don't use Apple Fitness Plus that much in the summer months because I can hike and do stuff like that. But in the winter, great. It's great to have, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, I'm holding out for a ring.
Aw. Never mind.
Tom, you going to give me a ring?
Put a ring on it, Jeff.
No, Tommy,
Took me a
I love
second,
you
guys.
too. Yeah,
This is a very sweet moment. I'm glad I could be here.
Yeah, you were here for it. You saw
it. My internet's about to go out. Sorry, guys.
Totally different show. It's a new show.
Yeah. So just saw this morning. So I was looking around. Ryan Christoffel at 9 to 5 Mac wrote a piece when Ultra doesn't mean best anymore, which I thought was an interesting write-up. Basically saying the Series 10 with the S10 chip and the bigger, ever so slightly bigger screen and some of the display technology stuff might be the new king, and maybe thing, and Jeff, I'm curious what you think with the Ultra. The thing that's like one of my top couple features on it is the flat screen.
Flat screen and durability.
Right. So I had Series 0, 2, 4, and 7. The Series 7 was by far the most scratch proof of all the ones I had. And just with the flat display, you don't get a lot of the reflections that you tend to get with the rounded display on the Series watches. So I really love it. The battery is better. Aesthetics, that's a personal thing. Some people like it, some people don't. But yes, it's an interesting question. I think probably just if you look at, okay, what's newer? So yeah, it's probably a little bit better. But when Ultra 3 comes out, I think it regains it. It just depends what you're looking for. Some people don't like the way the Ultra looks. Some people have said the Series 10 or prior models of that have looked kind of toyish to them. They thought the Ultra was like the first one that really looked like a watch. So that's all personal taste.
Yes, it is. It really is. I like the Ultra. The only reason I got a watch was because it was the Ultra. But the size thing is kind of important. We had Mark on in the last episode, and Mark, said his wrists are too small for an Ultra and might be too small for the Series 10. And Riley Hill also said the same thing, that he's one who, the smaller sizes suit him better. So that's a consideration, the size. And I think the boxy nature of the Ultra for some people makes it look even bigger.
Yes.
And that can be a thing. The curved edges it's like a fancy sports car, right? And the edges are curved. It looks cleaner, sleeker, and always makes you look better. So, it's
Yeah, I'm curious. So the Series 10 is 46 and 42 millimeter sizes. So we've progressed quite a bit, 'cause I think we started out at 38 and 42 way back from the very first ones. And so I'll be curious to see if when Ultra 3 comes out, if maybe it creeps up a little bit, right? Maybe to like a 50, and maybe they do like an interim model in between. So they've got like a 48 Ultra and a 52 for, power lifters. I don't know. Somebody's got an arm that big.
Yeah, they're getting big.
It ain't me.
Yeah, me either.
So
put it around your leg.
Right.
Yeah. Like house arrest.
Yeah. That's just my Apple Watch. It's just too big for my wrist now. Really, it's okay. You can come in,
and I can leave the house.
Getting side-eyed at the grocery store.
Yeah, just checking the time on my ankle.
Kids, stay away from that guy.
Right.
No, you cannot date my daughter.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, so on to the iPhone. They started with the iPhone 16.
Yes.
So before we get into the iPhone, let's take a kind of an inventory check. Joe, which iPhone do you have currently?
I have the iPhone 15 Pro.
All right, Jeff?
15 Pro Max.
Okay, and I've got the 14 Pro.
And Joe, are you upgrading?
I'm not. Nope. I'm going to...
Tom, we know.
Yeah, we know. One of
Because
us
you've been talking about it. I'm not upgrading either.
Yeah. So I did not intend to update. How many times have I said that?
Yeah, right. I didn't intend to get an Apple Vision Pro.
I have something to say about that a little bit later.
Okay.
But, and honestly, the only reason that I am updating is the 14 Pro does not work with the Apple Intelligence stuff.
Right.
That makes sense.
So for what
Neither
I do
does
at
the
work,
straight 15.
I want to know about that and for the show and stuff. And so that's why I decided to do it. I was doing every 2 years anyway, and I thought, well, the 14 Pro's still pretty good. And so I was going to stretch it to 3, but with that being the case, I didn't. So I went with the iPhone Pro 16 or 16 Pro Max. 256, so just the base storage there. But I got the natural titanium, and I picked up that bright blue case, ultramarine, that they have. Because that's the only way you're going to get color on a Pro.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Be here Friday the 20th. So
Cool.
Great. Yeah.
So that's right around the corner. So Apple releases the iPhone 16, 6.1 and 6.7 inch displays. Comes in pretty colors, which is, man, I'd like to see the Pro Maxes do that, or the Pros, the upper level. But we have an ultramarine, teal, pink, white, black. Yeah, I do theater.
Yeah, nice colors.
Yeah, they look so good. They really do look good. And I really wish, I like the titanium, but man, I wish Apple kind of got sweeter color-wise on the Pro models. But that being said, those are pretty nice. They have camera control button. So you don't have to have a Pro model to be able to get that camera control button. They both have A18s, correct? Am I right about that, or am I lying?
You've stumped the panel.
I've stumped the panel, and the guy who put the notes in here, which wasn't me,
I don't know that.
Didn't. Yeah, we do, because we're doing craft again, and I'm completely lost. I shoot from the hip, boys.
I think it's an A18.
It is. It's an A18.
Yeah, you guys keep talking. I'll look it up.
Yeah, Tom's going to look it up.
I think we went from the A16 to the A18.
Yeah,
we did.
So we
yes, the A18.
Yeah, 2 cameras, important to note, which honestly is probably enough for almost everybody. They're really good cameras. In fact, and we'll post a link to this, the guys at Halide, the guys at Lux, who have the Kino app and have Halide, which is now my camera of choice almost 90% of the time. They had a really good conversation. And Abe, we're talking to you about upgrades and what you're getting from this. And their opinion was, for them, the Pro model is the killer, but for the average person, the 16's got plenty of camera juice and a lot of stuff going on under the colors. Under the colors. That was good. That was an accident, but man, that was really good. Under the colors. Under the covers is what I meant to say. And so their point of view was that you get plenty enough camera now in that 16 and all the features other than like ProMotion and things of that nature that you need to be able to take really good photographs. So it makes probably the most sense for the most people to be getting the iPhone 16.
So what did you guys think of the camera control button being in sort of the base non-Pro model?
Man, I like that. I really do. I like that Apple, a lot of times you had to pay extra to get stuff. For example, I'm on a 15 Pro Max right now because of better camera capabilities in the 15 Pro Max than the 15 Pro. I would have gotten a 15 Pro. And if I were in the market for this, if the iPhone 16 didn't have the camera control, in all likelihood, I would have gotten a 16 Pro. That would have been the deal. I love that Apple's not making it a huge leap to go from one device to another. Sure, you've only got 2 cameras, but that's plenty enough. And they're giving you kind of all the cool features, the things that they're adding to the upper end models. So I like it. I think it's great. So that's the iPhone 16. It seems like a really great model. Tom, did you figure out
what?
I don't know, the chip, or did we already decide that we were?
Yeah,
right?
it's 18, A18, 6.1 inch and 6.7 inch display, which I think you said earlier. No ProMotion, like you said, and no always on display, which is a bummer to me. I think it's 2024. It's $800 starting point for the for that. I think that's
should be thrown
silly.
that in.
It should be
I
on
didn't
there.
realize it didn't have that. That seems like it should be there.
Yeah,
I don't know, how often do you pay attention to that, though? Frankly,
the always on display.
Yeah,
I look at it surprisingly a lot.
Do you?
Yeah, but it's just not that I intentionally go looking at it, but it's like if I leave my desk, I come back, I put my sunglasses down or whatever, and it's never like, I haven't seen that picture of the kid in a while. Because remember, we've got that background and all that, and you see all that, and the widgets and stuff being there, that kind of thing. But It's not a big deal breaker, but it seems kind of cheap.
Right. Let me say that I'm happier that it has the camera control button. I'm willing to give up. If I were going to get a 16, I'm willing to give up the always on display for having that camera control. So if that was the trade-off money wise, at in development level, I'm fine with that. I think that's actually a really nice feature, the camera control.
Oh, I think it's just $1 trade-off. I don't think it's any development trade-off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Cynical.
Just saying.
Got to keep it tight.
It's the reason why they keep upping those services subscription fees.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
All right.
But no, I think overall though it's a great phone.
It is.
Despite, it's not perfect, but nothing is, and I think it's nice, and especially if you want colors and you don't want a case to get colors.
Yes, I'm with you on that.
Yep. Okay. So next, on to the 16 Pro and Pro Max.
Yes, sirree.
With the fancy A18 Pro chip, a couple more cores on there, high performance, that kind of thing.
Data transfer, high performance USB-C data transfer.
Yes.
Which is huge. Direct to disk. So you can plug that in and shoot direct to disk, which is amazing, I think.
Yeah. Which goes back to they feel like they've earned the name Pro for these.
Yes.
Right? 'Cause there's always a little bit of cloudiness around that. Like, well, what's a Pro really mean? Usually it just means it's the more expensive one.
And it has
it does have,
colors.
it's higher end. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way. The colors look like they're right out of North Korea. We don't get much, but
Nope.
we're happy to get what we get.
What we have.
And that's right.
And the new color is the desert, which just looks like a shade off of rose gold to me. That's all the difference is.
Yeah, it does look better than those renders that were out a couple weeks ago. They were calling it bronze, and that didn't really look too good. But I think this looks fine. But I mean, for the colors, what they are, I think they look great. I just wish they were a little more exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, they just need to throw one crazy color, not crazy, just green or blue or anything really.
Right. Yeah, because they used to have green ones. I had a green one. I think it was 11.
Yeah,
it was green.
the same. I did.
And they had blue for a while.
I had blue. For I think it was the 12 Pro was blue.
Yeah, and they did have purple for the 14s.
Yeah, so you know what? We're being too hard on Apple here, guys.
We might.
Is that what it is? I'm sorry.
We might be.
I think we owe them an apology. Somebody call Tim.
Sand, natural, black and white. I don't think I'm being that hard.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right on.
Yeah, because that's what desert is, right? Sand.
Yep.
Right. Storage for those, the Pro starts, I don't know if we mentioned this or not. The Pro starts at 128 gigabytes. The Pro Max starts at 256, both top out at 1 terabyte. If you have a need for that, if you're shooting lots of footage and stuff, it's probably good for you there. The 5X zooms come down to the Pro, where before it was Pro Max on the 15 series. So I think that's good. I know some people actually talked to a few on threads over the last day or so who decided to go Pro this time instead of Pro Max because the equality there between the cameras on the two models. And I like when Apple does that. I like if it's a Pro, it's a Pro. And I think I don't like when the Pro Max has a little bit more than the Pro.
That's the whole reason I got the Pro Max.
I know when you look at the Mac lineup, that's different when you have the M series chips, right? You've got M3, M3 Pro, M3 Max, M3 Ultra, I think is where it goes to. That's a little bit different, but 4K 120 Dolby Vision video, and on the Pro Max, the longest battery life ever in an iPhone. I think it's up to 33 hours for
streaming stuff.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
It is.
So that'll be good. I think the 15 was a 27, and this one jumped. So that's a pretty good jump. And I saw a YouTuber talking about it. I can't remember the specifics, but I think they made some thermal improvements as well because he was commenting specifically on that, saying that his 15 Pro would get kind of hot when he was doing certain things. So he's hoping it helps with that.
So anyway, nice phones. I would say if I were buying this year, I would be getting the 16 Pro. The only reason I got the Max last time was for the 5X camera. So I would bounce back. I like that smaller size. I'm not overwhelmed by the larger size. And these are both bigger than the previous models.
Yes.
Yeah,
6.3 and 6.9. Yep.
Yeah. I would do the same, Jeff. I would go with the 16 Pro.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Tom?
No, I was just going to say that what was I going to say?
I don't know.
Apologies.
Yeah,
Great,
I don't know.
great.
I must have hearing loss.
You just walked into the bathroom and couldn't remember you had to pee? Is that what the deal?
I'm not that bad off yet.
It's coming.
Yeah. But no, so I've had the Pro, and I think I've gotten a little bit bored with it, and so I'm going to try the Pro Max. We'll see how it goes.
Right.
The last biggest model that I had was the 7 Plus, and so I thought, well, it can't be as big as that because that thing was huge. And so then I went and looked up the specs in Mac Tracker the other day, and the 7 Plus is about the size of the 14 Pro. I'm like, oh yeah, so it's going to be a little bigger. But my wife has the Pro Max 14 maybe, and it'll be fine, but I just want to change things up a bit.
Yeah, I haven't found, I will say, the Pro Max to be too large. It still is fine, but I do like the crisper, tighter feel of the smaller one. So that would be me. A little side note for all those interested: Apple dropped the fine woven cases. And,
yes, they did.
I will confess here, and again, Riley at Slaypad on Threads, he and I were having a little side conversation over there. I immediately went out and ordered another fine woven.
I think I saw that.
I got a green one that's might even be at my doorstep right this minute. For all the crap that thing got, I really do like it. It's perfect, particularly like on vacation. And this has been weird for me. I've gotten a lot of cases for the 15 Pro Max. It's weird. I got 2 from Bullstrap. Like their stuff. Hate their name. But they're leather. Tom's looking at me like,
just gonna let that go.
Yep. Good move. I like their leather cases. I also got for riding bikes, a new quick lock case, which I love a ton. It locks it onto my bike so I can use the biking features. So suddenly I'm no longer a watch band guy. I love watch bands, but there aren't any to get.
Hey, they had new ones.
They did. Yeah. Maybe I can get something.
Drop another $100 on that.
Yeah, why not? But I do have several cases that I'm really happy.
Joe, are you a case guy, or you go without the case?
Oh, I'm a case guy. Even if I didn't have 2 kids, I was going through cases. I was buying the Apple, I think it's the silicone case, and I was shredding them. So I was actually chatting with our mutual friend Gannon, and he said he liked the Peak design. So I got one of those, and it's great. I like the aesthetic of it. I like the design of it. The only problem is it has lots of accessories, which now I want to go buy those. Because I like the wallet and things like that. So I love the way the phone looks and feels without the case, but I just don't want that kind of excitement in my life right now.
Like Riley, I'm caseless at home usually.
Yeah.
And then I wrap it up, depending on what I'm doing. Like if I'm going out for a hike or something like that, I tend to put it into a case.
Yeah, and it was interesting. They dropped the fine woven, which I wonder on that because the results people were seeing with that seemed so varied. Like you didn't have any problems with it, and Riley liked it, but you see other people, and they're not. There's some people that I follow that aren't really clickbait people, so I don't think they were doing it just for that. That really, it just didn't hold up. It didn't do well. So I wonder if they dropped it just because it turned out to be like hard to make in a way that it held up reliably or something.
I don't know.
It just seems so varied. Like some people had it and didn't have any issues with it at all. Some people had it 3 weeks and it looked like garbage. So I don't know what the deal was with that. But they didn't put any replacement out, which I was a little bit disappointed with because I ended up going with silicone case, and I don't really like those. They attract lint and they're hard to get in and out of your pocket, but I didn't want to go with third party yet because I want to see how people adjust their cases for the camera control button. And I don't really want to deal with a cutout because I think the cutout, especially like with the leather case, what I'm concerned about, because the leather cases tend to be a little thicker. Like it seems like with the cutout, it's going to have to be an interesting cutout to make that button still kind of easily accessible without the leather pieces getting in the way. So I wanted to see how the third party shakes out. So I just went with that for now. And I don't know, I may end up caseless for a while if it gets to be too annoying. That's what Apple Care is for.
Indeed.
That's true. I have that too, but still too much excitement right now for me. Someday. It's a goal, guys.
Well, with little kids, it makes a big difference too.
It does. Huge difference. Yeah.
Nobody's fighting for my phone anymore.
Yeah. Anything else from the event, hardware-wise? They did announce the dates for the operating systems, which are coming out today as this show releases. So macOS Sequoia, iOS and iPadOS 18, watchOS 11, tvOS, is it 18 now too?
I think it is, yeah.
Okay. And then visionOS 2 will be coming out as well. I have dusted off the visionOS, or not the visionOS, the Vision Pro, to install that when it comes out on
okay. Good for you.
And see what that's like. Tried to watch some football in it. NFL's back. So I was going to watch that. That was a pain in the ass, so I put it away. It's so frustrating. And funny enough, just as I was looking at that, I saw, and I reposted it on Threads. I forget the name of the place. It's OCM, something like that.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a theater chain.
Yeah.
And they've built these theaters. They're not really, I don't think they're IMAX theaters, but they're kind of the same thing. It's a big wall of display, but they're using them for sporting events and live events. And so you go in and you sit down and watch it. But the videos are showing, I was like, see, that's all we need. Like Apple puts out these 4-minute videos every 4 to 6 weeks, which are great. But it's a lot of cut scenes and things like that. And while those are fun to watch, I just would like to have a big, somewhat immersive viewing experience for live events that isn't an iPad ported Peacock app. You know what I mean?
Right.
And just, I don't know, licensing and all of that, I'm sure is complicating things.
Well, and
on their
camera,
side.
I think you got to be able to shoot it differently than they're probably currently being shot. So that makes it.
I think you do if you want the more immersive stuff like they show in their videos, but this theater is just projecting
just giant
TV feeds.
And putting you at 8 inches away from the screen.
Well, yeah, probably 18 feet, but that's all I need to start with, because I know there's a lot of technical things that go with, put the camera on the goalpost for the whole game or on the 50-yard line, and you see the whole stadium and everything. I don't need that. I mean, that'd be great, but I don't need it. I just need a better viewing experience than we have now.
100%.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
I mean, the hardware is incredible. At the beginning of our conversation, I didn't mean to sound flippant, but every event they release something, my jaw hits the ground because it's always incredible. And then I think it's sort of the story becomes, well, what do we do with it? Is it something we need to upgrade to, or the Vision Pro? I saw one in the Apple Store the other day. I was in to get a few things, and it looks really cool. But everybody I know who has one, which isn't very many people, they're kind of struggling a little bit with what to use it for.
You're looking at a guy that has one right there.
Yeah. And I it looks cool, but what is it for? And is it just the sizzle reels that they're going to release every 4 to 6 months? I really hope they figure it out, because it looks like a great piece of hardware.
Yeah. And they just put out they've got this Elevate series that's immersive content. And so they had a new one of those. And I was talking to Mark Palmer about that the other day. Beautifully shot. And it's about 6 minutes long. The narration on it feels a little bit like something you would watch in middle school or something. Like it's not.
Where's David Attenborough? Pull him up.
It's not deep content, which is fine. It doesn't have to be, but at the same time, it's like, well, it's 6 minutes and then it's done. Then you put it away.
Right.
So, and after a while, I mean, once you see those, you kind of get used to the immersive aspect of it, and it's like, okay, so what's the next step?
Right.
And I don't think they've gotten to that yet. Now they do have that series coming out this fall.
Oh, that's right.
That's I forget the name of it, but there's an immersive series. I think 6 or 8 episodes or something. So that could be interesting. We'll see how that goes. Yep.
Yeah.
You guys planning to update operating systems day one? I know, Jeff, you've been betas all summer, so it's nothing for you.
Right.
But how about you, Joe?
Yeah, I will. I put the, I'm a brave man, so I put the beta on my iPhone on Friday before this releases. So, really, really early in the beta over here. But yeah, I usually update pretty quickly. I mean, as I should mention, my iPad is basically runs on coal. I have like a 3rd gen iPad Air. So I don't even know if I'm going to be able to put it on that. So talking about upgrades, I know that wasn't announced, but that's got to happen because the problem is it just keeps chugging along.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of Apple stuff too, is it does last for a minute. So
yeah.
Well, they've got some great iPads to choose from. Yeah, I will do it. The only beta I've run so far is the Sequoia beta, and that's for work, just to kind of get in front of compatibility with things there at the office. But yeah, as soon as it comes out, I'll install all that stuff, which will be fun. It's always a fun time to dig around, and Jeff and I will send each other 100 screenshots. Did you see this? Right. And be like, yeah, I saw that in July. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, okay.
Just humor him.
Bear with me.
Thanks for catching up.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for taking the time to come visit with us, and we will have you back if you'll come back.
I'd love to come back. Yeah,
great.
Yeah,
so we'll have you back to talk about the journaling guide and Apple TV Plus content.
Great.
Where
Thanks,
Tom gets to go on vacation or do something. But it's been great. We really appreciate you coming on, and
Thank you.
You've been a great guest.
Thanks.
As a reminder, you bet. Show music, Psychokinetics, frontman Celsius 7. There's starting to be in the guest section, you should be able to start looking these guys up. And in fact, as of the moment this show posts, Joe's information will be in there. Randall Morton Design, if you look at our guest page, has his stuff in there and links to his website. Highly recommend both checking out Psychokinetics on whatever platform you listen to music on, or Celsius 7 on whatever platform you listen to music on, and to have Randall do some work for you. He's a great guy. Tom?
Indeed. And Joe, what's your website again?
So it's going to be 24letters.net. And if you could type in the digits 24, you could type in the word 24 letters.
Look at you. You're really fancy, man.
Yep. Super fancy.
Right. Got it covered. Right. And you've got a newsletter too, right, that they could sign up for?
Yep, I do. I'm just sort of doing a soft launch. It's called the Journaling Guide. And it really trying to focus on some of the historical figures who have journaled and their impact on the world, and offering some actionable advice about people who want to start journaling, and sharing some of what I'm learning, because I'm kind of going down the rabbit hole, and I'm going to take y'all with me if you sign up.
Yeah, do it. It's good. I've gotten a couple of those, and good stuff. So
thank you.
Okay, well, Joe, again, thank you, sir, for coming on. We do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Looking forward to having you back. Jeff, as always, good to see you. So
good to see you too, Tom.
Well, just bear with me on the screenshots this week. I'll be excited. I know you've been there, but just deal with it.
Here's Tom again, sending me some
what's you want now? And for the rest of you, hey, thanks again. We really appreciate you being here with us. And until next show, have a great rest of your day or your evening, and we will talk to you then.
See ya.